Hello, beautiful people. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you are having just a glorious week and that your week only gets better from here on out. My name is Liz, and I often like to sit here in this chair and talk about all kinds of things like true crime, conspiracy theories, unsolved mysteries, all that kind of thing. So if that sounds like stuff that might be interesting to you, then please hit subscribe, hit the bell, and we can just be like, low-key best friends if you want. And if you don't want, we're best friends now. Today there's a house like 2 doors down from me that's literally getting its roof ripped off so they can add another story. So if there is construction noises going on in the background, I'm sorry. It's like they haven't even acknowledged that the world revolves around me and I'm trying to film a video. Rude. Speaking of noise disturbances, I also have my supervisor here with me as usual, editing this. Switch to Lilycam. There she is. Little girl with that pretty face. So yeah, unfortunately, noise disturbances are very likely in this video. If you hear them, it's probably not a ghost. I mean, I'm not going to rule it out, but it is most likely my dog just ruining my life as usual. Come to think of it, she is not that great of a supervisor. So today we're talking about the very sad case of Emma Walker, who was a beautiful young woman. She was just 16 years old when she was murdered. And I'm just going to warn you guys in advance that this case is pretty infuriating. Just be prepared to be mad, okay? I'm warning you. So mad. Before we proceed, I just want to say that today's video involves content that might be sensitive to some, including domestic abuse of the verbal, mental, emotional, and physical kind, as well as stalking. If you feel like it might be difficult or detrimental to you to hear about these kind of topics, then may I very gently suggest that you either proceed with caution or maybe just skip today's video entirely. I won't be offended. There's another video up here that you might be interested in, or feel free to just swing back around next week for another video. So Emma Walker was born on the 20th of March 2000 to her parents, Jill and Mark Walker. She was born and raised in a town just outside of Knoxville, Tennessee, and she also had a younger brother named Evan. When she started at Central High School in 2014 as a freshman, she tried out for the cheer squad and was just over the moon when she made it onto the team. She was the only freshman on the team, which was a big deal. Her mum Jill wasn't surprised though. Emma had taken part in competitive dance and competitive gymnastics as a child, so cheer just came pretty naturally to her and she was really good at it. Emma was really passionate about cheer and she took it really seriously, but she didn't let this distract her from keeping her grades up because she had really great plans for the future. Emma was torn between either becoming a veterinarian or going into the medical field. Two careers that just showed that her heart was really set on helping those around her. After time and a lot of deliberation, she decided that she wanted to be a neonatal nurse working with babies in the NICU. And she was obviously doing a really great job finding a balance between cheer and school because she was an honor roll student. She was selected to be a member of Beta based on her grades and character. And she had recently joined HOSA, an international organization that helps students towards careers in the healthcare industry. She also did a bunch of volunteer work as well, including regularly volunteering at an animal shelter. As a person, Emma was described as kind, warm-hearted, and goofy. One of her friends said that people might be a little bit intimidated upon meeting her initially because she was just so stunning and also a cheerleader, but once they got to know her and got to know her personality, they just realized that she was just the nicest person they had ever met. Emma didn't subscribe to the whole cliquey cheerleader scenario either. She was friends with everyone and anyone. Emma's mother, Jill, said that she loved kids, animals, and the elderly. If she was to see an old couple walking along or sitting down holding hands, she would always point them out to her mum and just say, "Aren't they just the cutest. Emma could be sassy and stubborn like every teenager ever, but she really did have a heart of gold. Fun fact, Emma could do the worm, but one of her friends said that all her other dance moves were like, okay, Emma, you should probably stop now. Okay. But seriously, that was the worst thing that I found anyone say about Emma. Everyone had glowing reports of who she was and what she was like. So being this fun, bubbly, kind, warm-hearted person, it didn't take long for her to catch the eye of Central High School star football player. Enter Riley Gaul. William Riley Gaul was born on the 8th of December 1998, and despite being the star football player that he was, he didn't really fall into the typical jock category that you might expect. He was a little bit shy, a little bit nerdy, but among his friends he was known as a bit of a jokester. He was raised by his parents and his grandparents. He was active in his church and he was top of his class with great grades. Emma was 14 and Riley was 16 when they first started dating, and the relationship started off pretty normally. They were infatuated with each other, couldn't get enough of each other, just a typical teenage romance. Except that Riley had been a bit of a rat bag early on in the relationship and just couldn't choose between Emma and the previous girl he was dating. He went back and forth a few times very early on between the two girls, and Emma was obviously hurt by this, but she was really into Riley, so she persisted. Eventually she locked Riley down and the couple became exclusive. Emma's friends were thrilled that she found someone that made her so happy. They were a little put out that Riley didn't seem that interested in talking to them or getting to know them, but they just put this down to him being a little bit quiet and shy. Emma's parents really liked Riley as well. Jill, her mum, got a boy next door vibe off him and was really impressed, with how polite and nice he was. Now, Emma's parents were pretty strict with her, but she seemed to know that they had her best interests at heart, so she was pretty okay with this. She wasn't the type to act out or rebel. She even let them keep tabs on her phone and her social media, and this is how I know I'm getting old and mature, because 16-year-old Liz would have been like, I'm sorry, Emma let her parents do what? Whereas 34-year-old Liz is like, these guys were freaking killing the parenting game. Like, top marks, Jill and Mark. Top marks. Emma and Riley weren't allowed to go out on official dates, but they were allowed to go on outings during the day, and Riley was allowed to come over after football games so that the two could, hang out, watch movies, eat, that kind of thing, and Emma's parents could low-key keep tabs on the pair. Emma's social media was just flooded with posts and pictures of her and Riley together, and things looked like they were going great. They looked in love and happy and like they were having a great time together, and things continued on this way for a while, but unfortunately, it didn't take long for the relationship to turn toxic. Because despite the fact that ratbag Riley originally couldn't even commit to Emma over his ex-girlfriend, he quickly became very, very possessive and controlling. He would get annoyed when Emma would hang out with her friends over him. He would start criticizing her outfits and trying to stop her from taking part in certain activities, saying she couldn't speak to certain people. And he would wait outside the supermarket that Emma worked at for hours on end, saying that he was waiting for her shift to finish, but in reality, in my opinion, he was probably making sure that she was in fact at work and not hanging out with some other guy or whatever else he thought she might be getting up to, even though only one of them had exhibited cheating behavior in their relationship, and it wasn't Emma. It was ratbag Riley, remember? Emma and Riley became very hot and cold. They were always either fiercely fighting or fiercely making up. They broke up. They got back together again and again and again. And like a lot of other people that find themselves in a relationship with someone exhibiting the behavior that Riley was, Emma began to withdraw from friends and family. She barely even saw her friends because Riley was so demanding of her time. And when she was at home, she would isolate herself in her room instead of hanging out with her family like she usually would. Emma's parents were really concerned about her and how she was acting, so they checked Emma's phone and quickly realized that Riley wasn't the sweet, gentle young man that he had presented himself as. They found out quite quickly about the ex-girlfriend he had been seeing at the same time as Emma, and all these really sweet messages he would send her, like, "I hate you and everything about you, and you are the biggest bitch I have ever come into contact with." I know, what a dreamboat, right? Emma's mother, Jill, had several conversations with Emma about the relationship and how Riley was treating her, but Emma told her that everything was all good, that her and Riley were really happy, and that, yeah, they had fights here and there, but don't all couples. So despite not being very happy about it, Emma's parents allowed her to continue seeing Riley, and they were together on and off for the next 2 years. But one day, Jill checked Emma's phone again and found another really sweet message from Riley saying, "You're dead to me. I'll check the obituary. Fuck you." Jill was justifiably pissed and decided that's it. Enough is enough. Emma's parents took matters into their own hands and banned Riley from the Walker home, and also took Emma's phone from her so that she couldn't contact him and vice versa. But guys, they were in love. No one was going to keep them apart, so they just went into incognito mode. Riley bought Emma a secret iPod Touch that she could message him with without her parents knowing, and Riley would also sneak into her bedroom window without her parents knowing. So they were still seeing each other right up until Riley graduated high school and started attending university at Maryville College, which was a 30-minute drive from Knoxville. But Ratbag Riley didn't take long to fall back into his old ways, because Emma started seeing pictures of Riley and other girls together, and she had had enough. She was sick of Riley's shit, and she decided to end the relationship for good. For real this time. And shock horror, Riley did not handle this very well. A couple of weeks after the breakup, he had to be rushed to the ER by one of his football teammates because he had overdosed on pills and alcohol. He returned to campus a couple of days later and started receiving counselling. He continued trying to contact Emma, but Emma was no longer responding. She was busy getting back to her life. She was starting to enjoy spending time with people that weren't Riley again. She was hanging out with her friends, reconnecting with her family, and her parents said that they saw a huge improvement in her at this time. It was like she was becoming the old, happy, warm Emma again. This was probably because she didn't have Riley breathing down her neck. She didn't have to worry about what she was wearing, who she was with, what she was doing, what she was saying, and whether Riley would approve. I imagine Emma felt a huge sense of liberation and relief. And that's where this story should have ended. Emma living her best life, fulfilling her goal of becoming a neonatal nurse, and Riley hopefully working through his very serious issues in counselling and becoming a better person. But Riley just couldn't let things be. He refused to accept the breakup. He felt like if Emma just gave him another chance, they could work things out, they could be happy. So he started hatching a plan. It was Friday the 18th of November 2016, a few weeks after the breakup. That night, Emma was at a party at a friend's house after a football game, and everyone was having a great time until at about 11:30 p.m., Emma started receiving texts from a number she didn't recognize. The text told her to go outside with her keys alone to her car. The sender of the text said that they had someone that she loved, and if she didn't comply with their demands, they would hurt them. Emma was obviously scared and upset by these texts. She started getting more and more, and eventually the person told her that it was Riley that they had. She also got a phone call where she could hear Riley screaming, shouting for help in the background. So she grabs her friend Zach and shows him the messages and asks him to please come outside with her. So Emma and Zach rush outside to have a look around, but they don't see anything. There's no one there. But apparently there is someone there, and they're watching because Emma gets a text saying, "What part of Alone wasn't clear?" Now, Emma was originally freaking out, but her spidey senses have started tingling. She is suspicious. She gets a message saying to walk down the driveway, that there is a body near the road. So Emma and Zach grab a few more friends together and go down the driveway. Sure enough, there's a body there near the road, lying face down in a ditch. But the body isn't dead. It's Riley, laying there acting dazed and all confused, and he tells Emma and her friends that he was kidnapped, but he can't remember anything because the guys hit him over the head. All he remembers is that one of the guys kept telling him over and over and over to call Emma. Despite this totally convincing story, Emma is not buying it. She's not sold. She tells Riley to leave her alone and goes back inside. Riley calls a friend to pick him up, and this friend doesn't even believe him and his kidnapping story, but he presses on. He texts one of Emma's friends on the way home saying, "Oh, I have no idea what happened. I could have died." And Emma doesn't even care. He's really upset. The next morning is Saturday the 19th, and Emma is at home alone, just chilling out, when she looks out her front window and sees a man walking towards her house. And this man is dressed all in black, like all black, shoes, jeans, hoodie with the hood pulled up, and a pair of sunglasses covering his face. And the man presses the doorbell a bunch of times and then starts jiggling the door knob trying to get in, and Emma is freaking out. She's totally panicking, and in that panic she texts Riley saying, "I hate you, but I need you right now." She's obviously still pissed about the night before, but she's scared and home alone and someone's trying to get in the house. So Riley comes to the rescue. He has a look around the house in the backyard, but he can't find this man in black anywhere. Emma's mum, Jill, pulls her car into the driveway not much later. She's worried because she was waiting for Emma. They were supposed to catch up and Emma never showed. And she pulls into a driveway to see Riley comforting Emma as they sit in the front yard together. Jill is pissed. She was probably hoping she'd never see Riley's stupid face again. She tells Riley to leave. He does, and Emma tells her mum all about what happened the night before and now this scary man in black. And the family's now a bit on edge. They're a little bit nervous. Emma asks her parents to set the security system on their house that night, which is something they rarely did. And the next day, the Sunday, Jill and Mark chaperone Emma to and from work. They're a little bit worried she might have a stalker. But by the Sunday evening, everyone's a little bit more relaxed, including Emma. There was no other scary events that happened. Emma didn't see anyone suspicious at work, so everything seems a-okay. Emma says goodnight to her family that night, and she asks her mum to wake her up around 6 a.m. so that she can wash her hair before school. In the early hours of Monday morning, Emma's dad wakes to a loud sound, like someone's in the house and they've slammed a door. But you know when you're woken up by a loud noise like that and you kind of think, "No, I just dreamt that." So he rolls back over and tries to fall back asleep, but he hears the sound again. So he gets up, he's wide awake now, has a look around the house, but he doesn't see anything suspicious. There's no one in the house. Just to be safe, he sticks his head in Emma's door. As far as he can tell, she's sleeping soundly away. He checks on his son as well, Emma's younger brother, Evan, and he's sleeping as well. So he hops back into bed thinking everything is all good. But I'm sure you've guessed, everything was not good. At about 6:15 a.m., Emma's mum Jill goes to Emma's room to wake her up. As you'll remember, the night before, Emma asked her to wake her up around 6 so that she had time to wash her hair before school. She goes to Emma's room, sticks her head in the door and calls Emma's name, but Emma's still asleep. So she moves a bit closer, nudges Emma's leg, but there's still no response. And Emma's usually really easy to wake up. So she now stands over Emma and shakes her, saying, "Emma, wake up." but there's nothing. She realizes something is very wrong. She feels for her pulse, but she can't find one. So she quickly calls 911 and an ambulance is sent to the house. When the paramedics arrive, they find a small spot of blood on Emma's pillow and they assume she's committed suicide by overdosing. But when police investigators arrive, they find a bullet hole in the wall by Emma's bed and they quickly declare the house a crime scene. They find a second bullet hole in another wall of the bedroom and find 2 9mm shell casings on the ground outside. The bullet holes are at about the same height, so they believe that the shots were fired by the same person while they were standing outside the house. The first bullet hit Emma just behind her left ear, killing her instantly, and the second bullet was found lodged in her pillow. And yes, just so you know, you are hearing this correctly, Emma was fatally shot in her sleep through the wall of her bedroom by someone standing outside the house. Police were very quick to start talking to Emma's friends and family to figure out who on earth could have done this. And as they do this, one name comes up repeatedly. Say it with me, Riley Gaul. Literally everyone they speak with tells them they need to speak with Riley. In fact, one of Riley's friends, Alex McCarty, contacts police when he hears about the shooting saying, I have something I need to tell you guys, because Riley had shown Alex a gun he had stolen from his grandfather before the shooting happened. And Alex had been like, what the hell, dude? Worried that Riley was going to commit suicide because of the breakup. And Riley was like, oh, no, I need this gun for protection because of that time where I was totally kidnapped on Friday night. Remember that? Remember? I was kidnapped. And also there was that scary man at Emma's house in black. And so someone's totally out for me and Emma. And I need this gun to protect us. Totally legit. So armed with this information, police take the trip to Maryville College and knock on Riley's door, telling him what had happened to Emma. And Riley is just gobsmacked. He's devastated, saying to police he had no idea that anything had happened. And this confuses his roommate, Walker Stanley, a little bit, because if we were to rewind back about an hour before police arrived, Walker had woken Riley up for class, at which point Riley had gone to the bathroom and come straight back out saying he had gotten a phone call from his mother saying that something bad had happened to Emma. So Walker knew that Riley already knew but told police he didn't know. And Walker is doubly confused because the night before, literally hours before the shooting, Riley had asked Walker if he knew how to remove fingerprints from a gun. So Walker is just like... So police bring Riley into the station to ask him some questions, and Riley tells them all about the time he was kidnapped on Friday. He's sticking with it, guys. He tells them that 2 guys in a van pulled up outside his stepdad's house and dragged him in, grabbed him from behind and dragged him in, covered his face so he couldn't see, and one of the guys was like, who do you want to speak with for the last time? And Riley was like, Emma. And then they forced him to call Emma because... Don't blame me, guys. This is the worst thought out fake kidnapping story of all time. So police are sitting there like, right. And why exactly would someone want to do this to you? And Riley is like, I don't know. All I know, it was traumatizing. I don't know what to make of it. Neither do we, buddy. Riley also told police that there must have been some connection between his totally legit kidnapping and the scary man in black that showed up at Emma's house, that there was obviously someone that was out for the both of them. Also that he had spoke with Emma on the phone on the Sunday night, hours before the shooting, that he had been bawling his eyes out in the campus parking lot, saying he was sorry that she didn't want what they had anymore. And Emma said she loved him but just didn't want to be in a relationship with him anymore. So he ended up just crying and looking at photos of Emma until he eventually fell asleep. And the next thing he knew, it was Monday morning and people were trying to contact him and tell him what had happened to Emma. There's a really creepy part of this interview where Riley refers to Emma as the girl. And when police are like, buddy, what girl are you referring to? Riley is like, the one who passed away. Like, he can't even say Emma's name. Eventually, police tell Riley about his friend Alex telling them that he had stolen his grandfather's gun, and Riley is like, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea. I don't have a gun. But as soon as he gets out of the station, he promptly texts Alex saying, dude, why did you tell them about the gun I showed you? And Alex is like, Riley, if you didn't shoot Emma, just hand the gun into the police. And Riley tells him he can't do that because he already returned the gun to his grandfather. Covering his bases, Riley then contacts his roommate, Walker, telling him not to tell police about that time he asked about removing fingerprints from a gun. And Walker is like, Riley then gets really active on social media, putting up a whole bunch of posts, changing his profile picture to a picture of Emma, writing up a long dedication, like playing the grieving boyfriend role. Like, are you guys getting mad yet? Like, are you getting hot under the collar and a little bit flushed like me? Because I'm mad. Riley, fuck. I drank too much coffee. I'm getting flushed and angry. Riley later reaches out to his friend Alex again and another friend, Noah Walton, asking them if they know how to remove fingerprints from a gun. And Alex is like, what? You mean the gun that you don't have anymore because you gave it back to your granddad? And Riley is like, oh, no, I'm not asking for me. I'm asking for my roommate, Walker. Poor Walker. You know Walker, who's still sitting there like... But when Alex and Noah press Riley, he's like, oh, okay, I still have the gun. But guys, it's me, Riley. You guys don't think I shot Emma, do you? Because I didn't. But if police catch me with this gun, then I'm going to go to jail because they're going to frame me for her murder because you know they always pin it on the significant other. So I just need you guys to be good friends and do me this solid and come with me to chuck this gun into the Tennessee River so that no one ever finds it. What's so suspicious about that? But Alex and Noah are absolute champs and they contact police straight away saying, we think Riley absolutely did shoot Emma and now he's trying to get rid of the evidence. So police come up with this plan where they get Alex and Noah to contact Riley and say, yep, we're going to come with you and help you get rid of this gun. But they set them up with secret mics and secret cameras to hopefully try and get a confession out of Riley. And they set up this secret word that Alex and Noah can text police when Riley brings the gun out of from wherever he's hiding it, and police can swoop in and get the murder weapon and Riley in one foul swoop. So Alex and Noah go to Riley's house all wired up, and in the footage from this sting operation, they're like, Riley, we're so sorry about Emma. And Riley's like, I don't have time to be upset about Emma right now. I'm too worried about going to jail. And they're like, buddy, if you didn't shoot Emma, just give police the gun so that they can test it and prove that the bullets came from a different gun. And Riley's like, no. The gun just needs to be gone. He also goes on to say that all the rumors are fake news and that Emma actually killed herself because of her parents, and police just haven't released this information to the public. So he's totally innocent. The three boys drive over to Riley's stepdad's house and police tail them in unmarked cars. Riley takes the gun out of the hiding spot and Alex and Noah text police a secret word. Police storm the place, arresting Riley and taking the gun as evidence. And just to give you an idea of how quickly police had worked here and how poorly Riley had covered his tracks, Emma was murdered on the Monday night and Riley was arrested on the Tuesday night. So it all happened very quickly. Oh, and you guys remember that scary man in black? Well, one of Emma's neighbors said to police, hey, yeah, I saw that man in black. I just didn't think much of it because I thought it was Riley. Like, she said, hi, Riley, and waved, and the man waved back. Oh, you guys had already connected those dots? You already knew? I see you, you clever sleuths, you. If this wasn't enough, police also found a full outfit's worth of black clothes in a bag in Riley's car at the time of arrest that, you guessed it, he was planning on dumping into the river as well. Riley was charged with murder in the first degree and was held on a $750,000 bond. The trial began a year and a half later, and Riley had reckless endangerment, aggravated stalking, theft, tampering with evidence, and possession of a firearm added to his charges. Riley pled guilty to the reckless endangerment because his defense didn't even try and argue that Riley hadn't shot Emma. After all, the prosecution had the murder weapon, which had been in Riley's possession. And according to phone records, even though Riley told the police that he had been on his college campus all of that night, his phone had pinged in the vicinity of Emma's house within the exact time frame that the shots had been fired. The defense instead pointed out Riley's crazy behavior leading up to the shooting, saying he obviously wasn't in his right mind, that he was tormented by being in such a emotionally turbulent relationship, and that, yeah, he had shot Emma, but he didn't murder her. At least not on purpose, that Riley that night had simply committed the crime of reckless endangerment, that he had fired those shots not to kill Emma, but to scare her so that he could come to her rescue and be her hero. Watching the trial footage of this, I couldn't help but to laugh out loud because as these words are coming out of Riley's lawyer's mouth, you can see the judge in the background and he's literally sitting there like, shit, he actually just said that. Riley's friends, Alex and Noah, as well as his roommate, Walker, all testified against Riley in court, as well as a large amount of other witnesses, including Emma's family. The charge of reckless endangerment that the defense was shooting for came with a sentence of 2 to 4 years, as opposed to murder in the first degree, which came with a life sentence. And to be honest, I think the defense did the best they could with what they were given. Maybe Riley was just trying to scare Emma. It's what he had tried to do the day before with his Man in Black stunt, and that plan had worked great. Maybe he thought if he just scared Emma enough again, that she'd come running back into his arms and take back the breakup. But the 2 bullets had been shot from 2 different angles at the exact same location where Riley knew Emma's bed was and where he knew she would be sleeping. So I'm sorry, but there is definitely intent there. If he had just planned to scare her, why didn't he shoot at a random location, like at a window or a dresser or a closet or something? Luckily, the jury felt this way as well, and after deliberating for just 4 hours, Riley was found guilty on all counts and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for at least 51 years, meaning Riley will be in prison until he is at least 71 years old. The only time Riley spoke in court was when he apologized to Emma's family. He said he had been a terrible boyfriend at times and had caused Emma emotional and psychological pain in the 2 years that they were together, but he's still stuck by his story that he didn't mean to kill Emma. So I don't know how Emma's family felt about the apology, but saying you're sorry for something and saying you didn't do it at the same time doesn't really count as an apology in my books. Just saying. Emma's family have fought hard to make sure that her spirit lives on. With the help of friends and the general public, they raised enough money to have a neonatal intensive care unit room named in her honor at the East Tennessee Children's Hospital. And they also had a scholarship named for her at Central High School. Emma had been asked to be a bridesmaid at a family wedding before she died, and her brother Evan went in her place, even carrying her bouquet down the aisle, which is just Simultaneously, the most beautiful and heartbreaking thing I've ever heard. Emma's mother, Jill, said in an interview that she cringes every time she hears Emma being referred to as the cheerleader killed by the football player, because she was so much more than that. And just to give you guys an idea of how prevalent this issue of domestic violence is in society, in a global study done by the UN in 2017, of the 87,000 women intentionally killed that year, over half of them were murdered by either an ex or current intimate partner or by another family member. This equates to roughly 137 women every single day. And these numbers have only gotten worse with the pandemic, with people being forced to be at home with lockdowns and restrictions. If you yourself are experiencing domestic abuse in any form, be it mental, verbal, emotional, financial, or physical, then I have included the information for multiple different helplines around the world in the description down below. And that brings us to the end of today's video, guys. As usual, thank you so much for spending this time with me. I really appreciate it. Lily says bye too. Let's go to Lily Cam. Say bye, Lily. Come say bye. Say bye. Really? Did you just burp at me?
No.
Sass. All right, guys, have a great week, and I will see you next time. Bye. Oh, beating up my plants. Why?